I have this friend who I used to really hate. I didn't like him at all. In fact, I used to spend a lot of energy avoiding him. He's just so combative, unpredictable, and always causing conflict. And I hate conflict. So we used to really butt heads, and we could never agree on anything. In fact, saying all of this now, I don't even know how we're friends, but we are. We have an amazing dynamic, and together we've accomplished some incredible things. I wouldn't even be giving this speech if it weren't for him. His name is Chaos. You might know him as uncertainty, tension, confusion, unpredictability, or discomfort. My relationship with Chaos started to really take off when I was 18. I was in my second semester of college, here at Mission, actually, when I found out I was pregnant. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had homework to do, I had papers to write, and I had no boyfriend. And there was a baby growing inside of me. I was going to be a mom, and I didn't even know how to be an adult yet. Chaos had completely taken over my life. You and I might perceive chaos a little differently, but the common thread running through any chaos is resistance. Whenever we experience chaos, regardless of what the actual thing outside of us is, we're resisting it. It's something happening that we don't want to be happening. It's usually something unexpected, uncontrollable, unwanted, or just unknown. When chaos pops up in our lives, it causes discomfort. And we tend to put up a wall to protect ourselves, like a defense mechanism. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a completely rational thing to do. When I was 18 and pregnant in college, I pretended I had everything under control. I shut the door in chaos's face. But the fact is, when chaos shows up, it's not something that we need to resist or shut the door on. Chaos should be embraced because it's really a catalyst and a compass toward immense personal growth and development. When chaos happens, most people probably think that it's outside of themselves, when really you are the creator of your chaos. In fact, you are the creator of all of your emotional experiences. And this isn't an entirely new idea either. There are a number of theories that have been prevalent in psychology for years that all support the idea that our brains are the ones creating our perceptions of the world around us through appraisals or mental interpretations. And this leads me into a theory that I find particularly exciting, the theory of constructed emotion. In her book, How Emotions Are Made, neuroscientist and psychologist Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett proposes that your emotional experiences are something that your brain constructs. So when you experience chaos, an emotionally jarring experience, it isn't something outside of yourself. It's actually inside of you. What this theory is saying is that contrary to how emotions have typically been understood, emotions don't just lie dormant inside of you waiting to get triggered. Our brains construct our emotions on a moment-to-moment basis. And when our brain constructs an emotion, our brain is really just creating an educated guess for how it thinks we should be feeling based on the combination of our past experiences and the context of the situation. As an example, let's create a situation. In my pocket, I have a piece of paper with a couple of your names on it, randomly chosen, and these lovely people are going to come up here and perform the chicken dance with me. I wish. Whatever emotional experience you're having right now, your brain just constructed that. It wasn't triggered, and you're not all experiencing the exact same recipe of emotions. Your unique, individual brain looked at all of your past experiences of concepts like chicken dance, auditorium, getting called on, and then it constructed the emotional experience that it predicted you should be having. Maybe you got excited. Maybe you sank lower in your chair to hide. Or maybe you don't even know what the chicken dance is. Since we've been born, our brains have been collecting information nonstop, categorizing it, giving it meaning, and creating patterns, and then using those patterns to guide us in the production of hundreds, thousands, even millions of educated guesses about what is most likely to happen in our external surroundings so that we can respond appropriately. And your brain does this at such an accelerated speed that you're not even consciously aware of the process. Your brain is a full-time scientist, collecting data, hypothesizing, and coming up with theories on an endless loop. And our brain's motivation for doing all of this work is to survive. That's the bottom line for our brain. And the best way for our brains to survive is to work efficiently, to correctly anticipate events before they happen. So what happens when our brain gets it wrong? What if something happens outside of our expectations? Insert chaos. Imagine you're going about your normal day activities. You're able to effectively anticipate events that are happening, and something unexpected happens, like you got called to do the chicken dance in front of a bunch of people. Suddenly your heart starts racing, and maybe your shoulders tense up, or you feel completely paralyzed. Whatever you feel when chaos is happening, that is a catalyst trying to get your attention. It's alerting you to an area within your perceptions that needs some adjustments and some fine-tuning so that it can learn to respond in a more productive way. So as a single and pregnant 18-year-old in college, shutting the door on chaos and feeling constant tension, what I didn't realize at the time was that first I was creating my emotional experience. I made my chaos. But also, the chaos was a compass, pointing me in the direction that I needed to look. I just needed to follow it. If my emotions are made by me, off my own past experiences, then that means I can play detective. I can investigate where my emotions came from. I can dive into my memories and learn what sort of experiences in my past my emotions are connected to. Then I can address those experiences that are causing my brain to make those predictions, and I can give my memories some new meaning. You might be thinking, how do you do that? How do you follow the chaos like a compass? Well, clearly, since chaos and I are best friends, I like to think of my emotions as people that come and visit me every now and again. So if chaos happens, and remember, it's unexpected, just imagine an internal doorbell ringing. Chaos is at the door, and it's banging and banging, and it wants to come in. You can ignore it and keep your walls up. Say, nope, not today, chaos. Or you can embrace it, let it in, and listen to what it has to say. Whatever emotions you're having, just let them talk while you listen and observe. Notice that your emotions are not inherently good or bad. They just are what they are. Observe them in the same way that you would sit with a friend who you haven't seen in a while. Listen with genuine curiosity and give it all of your attention. When the emotion's done talking and it's time to go, just give it a hug, thank it for stopping by, and then walk it out the door. What I love about this analogy is that first, it very clearly demonstrates that your emotions are separate from your true self. They're also temporary, and each emotion is a unique experience. Every emotional experience you will ever have will be different. There are nuances to each emotion that you experience, and to embrace them means to notice and label those nuances accurately, without judging them as good or bad. Now, at the beginning of my talk, I brought up Dr. Barrett's theory of constructed emotion. While she proposes this theory, she also speaks on this skill called emotional granularity. And she uses this term, emotional granularity, to describe the accuracy with which you can identify your emotions with specificity and complexity. She suggests that the more granular we are with our emotions, The more specific and detailed that we are, the better able we will be to effectively manage our emotions. She says that by building our internal vocabulary of emotional dialogue, language, we're also giving our brain more tools to handle those emotions. For an example of how to get more granular, in this moment, I am feeling nervous, reluctant, flustered, a little intrigued, and yet still slightly hopeful. Your emotions are so much more complex than just sit. Continuing with this idea of emotional granularity, Dr. Barrett also published a study where participants were asked to write their emotional experiences down in diaries for 2 weeks, and they found that the people who were better able at handling their stress were the same people who were writing out each emotion they experienced in greater detail. See, the growth and the insights are in the details, and following your chaos like a compass is the key. I go back to when I was right in the middle of my chaos. The moment I finally let chaos through the door and I embraced it was the same moment I had no more energy left to resisting it. I got really honest with myself, and I admitted that something internally was going wrong and I needed to figure out what it was. I asked myself, why do I feel ashamed for being a single mom at 19? Why do I feel insignificant for not having a degree or a career? Why do I feel meaningless when I don't know what I'm doing? The answers to those questions were within me, in my memories and in my belief systems. And when I answered them, I saw that the predictions my brain had been making came from really old and outdated concepts that my brain created a long time ago. I mean, when I was a kid, my thoughts weren't heavily rooted in logic. So I consciously made some new predictions, and I rerouted my chaos to a new course. Instead of feeling ashamed at being 19 and a single mom, I said, it's okay to do something outside of society's expectations. I still have worth. Instead of feeling insignificant for not having a degree, I said, it's okay to move at your own pace and do things a little differently. Instead of feeling meaningless when I don't know what I'm doing, I said, it's okay to not have all the answers and to move one step at a time, even to make mistakes. I don't think any of us really know what we're doing half the time anyways. Because I embraced the chaos, I was able to successfully adapt and even thrive in all of the uncertainty happening around me. I also opened myself up to possibilities I hadn't even imagined. And I learned how to love all of myself, including all of my chaos. And that was the biggest gift of all. One of my favorite philosophers, Alan Watts, wrote in his book, Out of Your Mind, your skin doesn't separate you from the world. It's a bridge through which the world flows into you and you flow into the world. When you embrace the chaos and follow it with curiosity, what you're doing is bridging the gap that causes that tension and discomfort. You're working together with chaos and uniting as a team to create something entirely new, creative, and harmonious. When you don't embrace the chaos, you're actually hindering your ability to grow, and you're missing out on some great insights. Contrary to what you might think happens by following that chaos, you're not creating more chaos. You're actually expanding your awareness of how you experience everything around you. I would like to invite you now to take this moment and think about the last time you experienced chaos. Maybe when something unexpected happened or discomforting, maybe at work, at home, or at school. What was happening? Maybe something broke, or there was an argument. Can you describe what you were feeling? And try to be detailed and explore the complexities of that moment. Where do you think those feelings were coming from? From a parent? Maybe a lack of experience? or maybe how you define your identity or your self-worth. While the chaos may have been constructed by you, what this also means is that you have the power to deconstruct it. Instead of seeing chaos as this annoying thing that needs to be shut out and controlled, like I did when I was younger, my hope is that we can shift our perspective of chaos, embrace it, build a bridge for it, learn to dance with it, and allow it to expand our awareness of life and guide us in reaching our greatest potential. Thank you.